Hi, anyone who's not here yet. uh, uh, my regular Sunday video, quite frankly, it was just so much that happened at the show and in New York. I thought, well, heck, what I'll do is that I'll start with sort of what you might call a prequel of mishaps. Okay. Uh, First of all, they gave me this. I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it because they had it backwards. How about now? Anyway, this is my official press. Let me see if I can change the light here. No. Can you see that? Anyway, there it is. Okay. I was a WatchTime press. Now, the next thing I got to do, let me open up another thing so I can see your comments and so forth. Something happened to the other one that's not working the way it should. So let me see if I can get all Safari fired up here. And because I want to see your comments. And here we go. Video manager. Oh boy. So much happened. Okay. Touch side. Anything going on now? Oh, I know what to do. Control, let's see. Open. Me again. Okay. All right. I'll figure out how to get the, I know how to do it. 1 second here. And let's see, chat and screen share and cameraman, control room. Where'd it go? Here we are. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can get this thing working now. Hang on a sec. Oop. About to, okay. That's not what I want. Okay. Here we go. Here's the links. That's what I need, links. Okay, video embedded. Here's a link. Okay, I'll set this link up and I'll be able to see everybody. Yeah. Please be there. And there it is. Great. Okay, let's see. Great. Watch Crazy, Oscar, Dave P. Hi guys, how you doing? Now I can see. Now I can see you. All right. What I wanted to do today, as I said, I couldn't quite get the everything done that I needed to do for the usual Sunday video. And so what I thought I'd do 2 things. One, this is we can have a pretty good interaction here, and that's one thing. And the other thing is to talk about sort of all of this weird stuff that happened. And the weird stuff, then I won't have to deal with it when I'm with all of the other just fabulous things. This show was just fantastic. Okay, the wristwatch I have on, this is the one I wore the first night. And I took the next day to show some guys who were interested in it, and that worked out fine. That was my this is my Beauvais 1930 Fleurier. Oh, well, there's every time I even mention anything, there's something really interesting that happened related to it. So, anyhow, let me tell you about this sort of weird stuff. First of all, when we got there, when we got to New York, we went up and we went all over the place. And we got there a day early because I was supposed to meet a friend there. And he was coming over, and I got at the last minute. There was a problem. His wife's mom or somebody got sick, and they couldn't come. So that was one of those things. So anyway, so that was just one thing. Okay, person I really wanted to see, and there's another watch fan. So okay, the next thing that happened after having a great time up and down Madison and Fifth Avenue, we got ready for the first evening, and the first evening is when they have the party. And before the party, they have this nice little champagne reception. And so, you know, we were looking forward to that. So we got a cab at the hotel and said, we're going to Gotham Hall. And the guy said, well, what's the address? Well, it's a Broadway address. So on my iPhone, I looked up the address for the guy. And this guy had he was lost. He got lost. He couldn't find it. Finally, we ended up, my wife and I, about 5 blocks from it. And this guy said, oh, it's just around. He kept saying that. So we got out of the cab on, I guess it would be the south side of Times Square. We had to walk through Times Square and get over to the other side. Now, in Times Square, they have like this super high security, not to mention every freak show in the world there, because these people dress up like different characters. One guy that painted himself silver, and he was looking like the Statue of Liberty, and he was about 12 feet tall. And then they had these other people dressed up like Pokemon figures, and they were just bouncing around all over the place. So we're trying to get to the over to Gotham Hall up on Broadway, and of course the Times Square is right in the middle of Broadway. And we walked about, it must have been a half a mile from where the cab, he didn't let us out. I told him to stop. I'm getting out of here. Find it on our own. And so we went up, and there was saw a couple cops, and I said, hey, you know, we're heading up, gave them the address. Okay, you just keep on going that way. I said, well, maybe you could arrest us and drop us off there. And they didn't say that's funny. Now, there were a lot of cops. You remember this weekend, they had those bombings in New York, or they had the nut job who mailed everybody all of these bombs. And so they have, you know, on the one hand, you had these people dressing up like stormtroopers and marching around, and then you had the cops who were in all of their battle rattle and looking for any problems and so forth. So they were all over the place. So here we're trying to walk through the middle of this to get over to the first night of the show. And well, we got there right after they had their champagne reception. Okay, after that, everything went really well. So like I said, just tonight, I'm gonna just talk about the weird stuff that happened. So then we get there, and like I said, everything went really great once we got there, and especially after we had several drinks. We were fit to be tied. And that's what I want to cover tomorrow in a nice, to really explain everything. Okay, so after the Friday night party, so the main show begins on Saturday at about 11 o'clock. And so a number of us had planned to meet at a Starbucks that I found that was right around the corner from where the venue was. So, hey, Clyde. So anyway, so we get there. This time, fearing the cab driver may get lost. Now, it's one thing to get lost to a sort of a cool place that not a lot of people know about, called Gotham Hall, where they have these different kinds of events, and a Starbucks. So the guy said, okay, I said, all right, well, here's the Starbucks. I think it was at 677 6th Avenue. So the guy said, what's across? He didn't know where he was. He didn't know how to get there, anything else, just like the first guy. I had drawn a map before we left. So I gave him the map and he found it for us. And so we got there. Once we got there, the whole thing was like this little bitty room where we could gather. Now, to tell you the truth, it turned out pretty well. We were all gathered around this little bar area with this one bar, and I don't know, there must have been 10 or 12 of us all stacked in there with our wives and so forth. And it was, last year we met at a place that looked dangerous by the time we got there, and everything was sort of creaky. This time, when we arrived, it was a nice, typical Starbucks, and typical Starbucks prices. I think some people could have bought a new watch for what they charge. But given a small place, it was great. And I'm going to talk about that. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I mean, when I have a real video I can put together, you can see everybody. A lot of people said, okay, they wanted to, they said, be sure to take pictures. Well, what did we do? We're watch collectors. We didn't take pictures of each other. We took pictures of the watches. Put our watches out there. We're taking watch pictures in this little crowded area. So anyway, but those are the things. But the important part are, and all of the neat things that happen and what you can do at a show like this, that's what I really want to talk about tomorrow, and all of the things. And then next Friday, what I was able to do, I talked to, I mean, here you have a place where you have all of these really fantastic, all of these people who are there. And it was really great. Okay, but like I said, this evening, all I wanted to do is sort of get the problems out of the way, so I don't have to talk about them. And when I have the video tomorrow. Okay, the second day saw more people, and after Starbucks, and then I ran into some more people who didn't come to Starbucks for one reason. Doesn't matter why. It didn't. And my wife and I had to leave around 12:30 because we were taking our daughter out for her birthday. So, all right, well, we got this major storm that came. And so with that, we'll hop a cab, go back to the hotel. The cabs, by the way, all of them knew where the hotel was. A pretty big hotel right up near Grand Central, so it wasn't a mystery. And so we just get a cab. Well, here you go. If you try to get a cab in New York in the middle of a rainstorm, and that's what it was, you couldn't get it. So here we are. We're trying to get back. We had to get back to the hotel to meet our daughter, and we don't want her waiting there with, I don't know, the situation. So that's what we did. But we couldn't get a cab, so we had to walk. It was about 1.25 miles in the rain. We were both dressed up. I had a coat and tie on and a raincoat. We didn't have umbrellas. No umbrellas. So anyway, so we walked back. Now, there was some other stuff that happened I don't even talk about. But despite everything that was just weird that happened to us, overall, it was a great show. We had a great time. And one of the things I want to talk about tomorrow is the whole thing of, going to one of these shows if you can. They're going to have one, I think, in October, so I'll get the dates and so forth. in Los Angeles later on. They probably will have one in Chicago. I don't know. And some of them, maybe Dallas. Um, but it's one of those things. The best part of it, beside meeting all these incredible watchmakers, is that you can see people that that you've been talking to online. I ran into people I never expected to, and it was great. So that was, like I said, I'll go into that tomorrow. What I wanted to do, any kind of questions or comments that you might have. Okay, let's see. Nothing much. Okay. Yeah, want the star. Yeah, you want the cappuccino or the Hamilton khaki. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay, do the watchmakers know the great Don Haynes? They should, but somehow they didn't. That was their loss, in my opinion. What they had, the people, the thing is that there's sometimes there's a bit of animosity between watch collectors online. There was none. And everyone, a lot of people didn't take it. They didn't have to be like the best watch in the world. This one guy decided to wear his Invicta just because somebody said, "What do you got there?" He showed it to him, and it was one of those really good-looking Invictus. God knows what was running the thing, but it was a good-looking one. And he got the big, "What is that?" It's an Invicta. That was sort of funny. Arabia Felix, quick question for everyone. You heard Martin Braun out of Germany. Boy, I tell you, that name, I don't know. I can't say I have. What about Martin Braun, 24 karat Arabia Felix? Nothing. Okay, I did find, let me show you this one thing I found. This was in one of the, I don't know if you can see this or not. Here's a really interesting watch. This is a very interesting watch. This one we found, this was in one of the magazines they give us. This is called the Steampunk by Schomburg Watch. And the thing that I found interesting about this watch, beside the price tag, which was $2,200, was that it had this very interesting 6498 movement. And they took a 6498 movement and added this heavy patina to it. Cool looking watch. Anyway, that was sort of fun. Okay, let's see, what do we got going here? Do you know about Archie's shoe video? No, I don't watch Archie. Archie talks about things that I'm not as interested in as I guess I should be. I'll put it that way. One thing in something I wanted to take a look at the collection review. I heard that one was Clyde did one for you, so that's cool. Okay, Oscar, you gotta know. Focuses on equation of time. Okay, the Pontiff's is no simple sloth. He's a sloth's sloth. Okay. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Why does anyone watch us? He gets old very quick. I don't know. You know, gee whiz, you guys sound like a. This is what I was saying. You know, we had a, we had a, at the show and meeting each other, which was just to me was the biggest treat of all. There was no bickering. There was nobody, you know, gave anybody a hard time about their watches. Um, and we, you know, the ones I saw that other watch collectors had, they're the same guys that, you know, you see here. It was more fun because we enjoyed it and or learned something about it, and they were not necessarily exotic or like super watches or anything, even though some of them were, especially the guys that came to the came to Starbucks. One of the ones I really liked, it was a guy with a BB who had this very cool Rolex. And it was a very simple one, clean as a whistle. And like most Rolex owners, he started rattling off these numbers that meant nothing to me anyway. But it was it was just cool though, and we talked about it. And one of the things, and Clyde, this would be a great topic for Clyde if you're still around, Clyde, is that you have I think that the masochistic tendencies of Rolex owners vis-a-vis not their watches. The watches are fine, but rather why they put up with the terrible way that Rolex treats them. Bill, there was, you know, Zenas had a thing there. There was just, yeah, they had this one person, I think he put it up on the High Horology Lounge. He said, well, in order to see a Zenith Defy, you have to see a video. The static ones just don't do it justice. So he made a little video and he had all the whiz going around. Then he turned it around to show the band and everything. You know, that was really cool. There was so many things, though. One of the things that I did, and I'm gonna have a video on it next Friday. I gotta finish up what's supposed to be today's video tomorrow because after everything that happened to us and then coming back, well, I was just totally, you know, they used to say in Texas, rode hard and put up wet, just wiped out. And but I got started on something, and man, it was, yeah, I keep finding stuff. I came back with a whole goodie bag full of information. The best stuff I had, like I said, was two things. One, the card, and the cards that the all of the different watchmakers had, and also the ones that, not the cards, but sort of putting a face with a lot of people. Okay, Rolex is destroying themselves similar to what Toyota does. I think buying a Rolex introduces problems you didn't have before. That's probably true with being a watch collector. I own 9 Rolexes and I'll never buy another one recently because they want you to beg to get a watch. Well, you know, I was thinking of that is that, you know, to be a Rolex collector, to put up with that is sort of like someone, you know, like hit me, beat me, you know, call me an Invicta. This is somebody who puts up with a lot of abuse. But they're nice watches. They don't have to do that. I mean, there are lots of nice watches. And they're incredible number, but I was sort of like things doing different things. Steve, you're ordering your watchmaking stuff this week. Man, I'll tell you, been the most satisfying thing in the world. I've got, I think, 2 movements in my drawer here. Got a case coming. It may be in, we had to, whenever we go out, all of my watches, except the ones I'm taking with me, go into a safety deposit box. And then we have the mail hold. So we'll see getting at. I'm starting up. I'm gonna for people who have actually who are making a watch or have made one. There's going to be the Society of Pretentious Watchmakers that I'm starting. Yeah, the hand wind. That's the way to go, man. I just love hand winds. I don't know why. I have some nice automatics. In fact, all of my Parmigiani, all two of them, are automatics. But for making watches and just watches in general, this is a wind-up watch, and it winds up. It's got 7 days. I don't have to wind it up once a week. The other ones, though, I have to wind up more frequently. This was an interesting one. This keeps coming back again. Right when I was leaving the show, I ran into this guy. I said, "Hi, Bill." It was like, "Hi." And he said, "Oh, he watched the video, and he's a real nice guy." And he showed me his watch, and he had a Maurice Lacroix. And my God, it was really a very cool looking watch. And I told him, I said, the thing about Lacroix, they have one of the best deployant buckles I've ever had. And the guy said, so he showed me his deployment. He said, "Well, I got a third party one." Terrible. I didn't say that. But the watch itself was really very, very cool. It's an affordable watch. That's what I like about this one. Sometimes I'm tempted to buy a watch to see how they did something. Because Christopher Ward has a watch. It's called a regulator. And in order to make a regulator, and they're running with a 6498, they had to take the hour arm off of the center and put it up somewhere else. And the question I had, how did they do that? How did they move some kind of gear structure from the center of the watch to 12 o'clock and then put a subdial up there? So you had a subdial with the hour, and then you had the center minutes, and then at the bottom, like you have in all 6498s, you have the small seconds. So, and as you can see here on this guy, right there, you have the small seconds. And even though it looks like, the thing looks like it's, they found it at the bottom of the sea from, some sea disaster. On a Sellita SW210, no. Okay. Steve, yeah, the SW210 is what they want you to do their watch course with. And Steve, I got to tell you, I got one, took it apart. Every time I turned around, a piece would fly out and land somewhere. The problem with the SW210, they're really good. They're really not bad movements. So don't get me wrong. But the only one I'm going to get, if I have to get one, is the one, because I lost so many pieces to my other one that I can't get it back together again. On the other hand, the 6497s and 6498s are much bigger movements, and because of that, you don't lose things as quickly as you would otherwise. Okay, I was able to get an AP jumbo in less than 4 days from their boutique here, and it was my first time buying from them. That's nice. 24 Arabia Felix Audemars Piguet jumbo, nice watch. Very sort of a classic Holy Trinity, I guess you could call it that. Anyway, so that's good. One of the things that I think is that after seeing some of the watches I did at the show, like certain Grail watch that I've had for a while, my decision has not changed. It sort of reinforced it. That was another thing that happened. Okay, Steve, yeah, listen, this is, I'm telling you, it's like, because their course, if you take the watch time course, which I found quite good and very helpful, I did a review. Well, I didn't do it as Arabia Felix, as Al. Oh, okay, Al. Then that's good to hear. Okay, Steve. Yeah, this was the thing that guys who do that, you know, especially when you're first getting started. One thing that I can say is that there were 3 screwdrivers, and these are using the standard colors. That they have these color codes. There's apparently some non-standard. Some guy told me that not everybody had the same ones, and I believe him. Maybe I don't know why, but I do. And but when I took the other course, the one that the Horological Society of New York had, they gave us these 6498s to take apart and put back together again, and they just used 3 screwdrivers, one with a red top, one with a green one, and one with a blue one. So if you get the red, green, and blue, if you get if you get a good quality one, those colors will have the related tip that goes with it. So and those are the size of the screws that they have. The watch time course that they have is one that is totally, it's done in a sequence and different, and then you have to look at the different kinds of movements you're dealing with. Now, if you substitute a 6498 or 97 for the Sellita 210, it's a little tricky in some respects, but it pretty much follows the same sequence. The parts are a little different, but you'd be better off on that. You really would be. Okay. All right. Any other questions? And like I said, tomorrow I'm going to work to get everything together. I got lots of pictures too, and so you can see some of the pictures. I don't know. I think I can use them all. Micro tooling. Okay, good. Well, if you're all set, that's another thing too. So my early ones, I simply, went out in the garage and got some of the tools they had out there, and they worked. The screwdrivers and the tweezers have to get a good quality one. You don't have to get a lot. It's mainly getting good quality of the right ones, Steve. And but if you got a decent set of micro tooling, you're find out, use those. Okay, all right. Well, listen, I will finish this up. I'll finish up the whole thing about the show tomorrow. Next Friday, I interviewed 5, I think, classic watchmakers. Kerry Booten, Lonan, Roland Murphy, just these great guys who were there, and they gave me an answer to a question that's been nagging me for some time now. That'll be next Friday. Tomorrow, I'll have it, and then I don't have to spend any time telling you all of those bad things that happened. There weren't many, and they were, sort of make your life more interesting. Okay. Thanks for coming by. Sorry I didn't get it done today. It just turned out to be impossible. But tomorrow for sure. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.